Welcome back to another episode of The Inside. Very excited today to have ZKTeco join me. Larry and Joe will do some introductions in a second, but wanted to have you all come on to talk about something that we've been talking a lot in a lot of the writing that we've been doing is this move to the mainstream for access control and the opening up of going beyond just the high security, but bringing high security type functions and features, but bringing it more to the masses. And it's really, that's when we take a look at that sort of 70 billion addressable market that we talk about. That's one of the key reasons that we believe that number is real, is we're moving again from the cottage down to a widespread larger portion. And a company like yourself that does spend a lot of time in that area, I thought it'd be great to have you come on and talk a bit about those trends. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, thank you, Lee. We appreciate it as well.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So, no, thank you both. So why don't you do this? Let's have you introduce yourselves first. Everyone always likes to hear sort of the journey of how people got to where they're at in their career. And then let's also introduce the company a bit to give a little bit of background so people that maybe don't know who ZKTeco or think they know it, but it's changed a bit. So if you could, let's do some introductions. Larry, go first.
Yeah, and Lee, I really appreciate again you having us here. And a little bit about myself. My name is Larry Reed. I'm the CEO of ZKTecoUSA. We're a manufacturer of electronic security products, and I manage one of over 50 global subsidiaries. Personally, I've been involved with ZKTeco back to 2005 when we were actually an independent distributor of this technology. And so I've been with the company from the very first day. And then fast forward 15, 16 years, I'm now CEO of our division, which focuses primarily on security products. We originally started out in North Jersey, and as the business expanded further and further, we finally realized we now need sufficient space to warehouse, to have limited assembly. Future, we'll be doing some manufacturing. So we just moved into our 35,000 square foot facility in Atlanta, Georgia, where we also have our 5,000 square foot user experience center, which has been a terrific draw, not for our own customers, but our customers bringing their clientele to come actually touch and feel and interact with all this amazing entrance control technology based on biometric technology and thermal sensing technology. And it's just been almost of an amusement park while we're providing an education and hopefully making a few sales. So
yeah, that doesn't hurt, I'm sure.
Yeah, I gotta have a little fun, make a little money at the same time.
Every once in a while. No, that's cool.
That's a little bit about myself.
No problem. Thank you, Larry. And Joe, give a little bit of background on yourself.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks for having me. So my name is Joe Freed. I'm a sales engineer and trainer here at ZK. So I've been with the company about a little over 4 years now. I was actually the first sales engineer brought on. So really my role is to educate people on the devices, maybe conduct some webinars, kind of like this, where I can demonstrate the software. I can do a demonstration of the actual facial recognition and biometric technologies that we have. So yeah, it really is networking with the dealers and making sure that they have the right solution for their projects.
Very cool. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. So great to have you both on here. So let's jump into some of the trends that you're seeing. If you could speak a little bit to, as we talked about, the sort of going mainstream as an industry and access control becoming a feature. Like, what are you seeing happening in the marketplace now that is driving the adoption and really the focus of what I know your Atlas product does? What's driving what's happening in the market right now as you see it?
Well, first and foremost, the most positive trend is we see businesses finally reopening and schools reopening, and we can all be thankful for that. And so that makes it exciting for everyone, even just as a U.S. citizen, seeing people back to work again, is very, very encouraging. And with that all, Lee, as I'm sure you've been writing actually for years now, there's so many competitors, in every particular vertical market, whether it's surveillance cameras, whether it's access control, whether it's intrusion. And one of the trends we're seeing is that companies are now expanding their core competency into other areas where perhaps they were a little gun shy previously. So one of the growing trends is we're now seeing traditional locksmiths now getting into electronic security. And of course, we're seeing people who used to primarily focus on burglar and fire alarms expanding into access control. And not just from an integrator's perspective, But I'm sure, as you know, many vendors are also expanding their product lines as well, just adding complementary products and services. I don't want to advertise any of my competitors, but it's amazing the different types of companies now adding access control simply because they realize they have such a large installed base, they want to sell them as much as they can. And acquiring new customers is very expensive. So why not introduce more products and services to existing customers? So I would also encourage all the integrators listening on this call, please look at what your core competencies are. And in most cases, access control is not that much difficult an add-on, especially if you're looking at something like Atlas. And I realize, of course, we're not supposed to commercialize what we do here, but Atlas has really had tremendous demand simply because, even though it's feature-rich, it's extremely easy to install and implement and support. And so, one of the trends I see both vendors and integrators is starting to expand their core competency, getting into other areas.
Yeah. Is there any particular like segment within the market that you see, or is there a typical type, if you would, of integrator that you're seeing be more successful with it than others? Like, are there any correlations that you can pick, even if it's regional types? What are?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
my observation, and we're all under pressure to grow, whether you're a privately held company or a public company. So most of the larger integrators, I see most of their growth is in acquisition and not necessarily technology adoption, because the larger integrators have invested so much money in certain technologies, they're a little bit more reluctant to actually change course. However, the small medium business, which I think there are over 30 million in the U.S., it's those small businesses of all vertical markets that are really gravitating towards expanding their product. And that's why I mentioned specifically, I'm seeing the locksmiths and the surveillance camera people, the fire and burglar alarm people. They're also very interested in recurring revenue as well. So I really haven't seen one specific market. Locksmiths may be one in particular, but many small businesses are adopting more technology and changing course. Whereas the larger integrators just seem to be a little bit more reluctant to adopt new technology.
Yeah, and Joe, maybe you can speak to this too. Are there any core functions and features, if you would, or things that for that marketplace that stand out? And as I think about it, some of them might not even be the very sort of corner cases of the high security side. So I'd be curious, what are you seeing in that regard?
Well, if I could just add something to what Larry said before, I mean, everybody is really trying to get into the access control market now. It's a very low barrier to entry. It's generally very easy to install. So whether you're an installer for videos, whether you're an installer for fire alarm burglaries, chances are you'll also have a project that can incorporate access control into that. So it really doesn't matter what specialty you have, we're really applicable to everyone. In terms of what core features that we have for our system that really makes it a differentiator, we do have biometrics where we can authenticate users via their fingerprint. That's growing more and more these days. People obviously always want to restrict who can access what doors or what rooms at what time. So there's always opportunities that we have solutions for.
Yeah, and I guess it leads me to, if a lot of people are getting into it, what do you think is needed for one to be more successful than the other, right? So as you see a rush of products, you see more attention to it happening. You've got companies that have not been in our space start to get into our space and offer features of access control. So it's going to get harder and harder to separate and differentiate. I mean, as you think about it, as people that have worked in this space, what do you believe are sort of the success factors for those that will be successful versus those that won't?
Well, one of the things we always try to do with people who are going to install our projects is just have them bench test it first and give us a call and set up some time so we can actually walk them through it. You don't want to go on site and then have to call us and say, hey, I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So, that's something that we try to make available is a good training for everyone.
Okay, so training, certification, obvious sort of like on that end. And then that makes me believe, and actually something that we've been writing about lately is taking a hard look at your partners that, even if you've historically been in the business doing this, really taking a look at the lines and the people that you partner with. Are they going to be the ones to help you move forward? So those would sound like two. Any other ones, Larry?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Lee, I was thinking that, Joe pointed out, of course, the importance of training and certification. But really, it all comes to a matter of differentiation. And that's a struggle because people like to stay in their comfort zone. Even salespeople don't like to go beyond what they're familiar with. And of course, card access systems have been in existence for 40 years. However, if you stay focused on your core competency and you're not stretching, you're really risking losing to your competitors who are introducing new technology. So the customers of ours who really seem to be doing the best are the ones who are open to adopting new technology. It's really not that far of a stretch. And everyone's talking about touchless technology, and that's a big one. If people are not becoming familiar with how touchless technology works, whether it's Bluetooth readers or now even QR code recognition we've introduced into apps, they really do risk losing out to their competitors. Now, hopefully, they've got great loyal customers and they have tremendous referral business going, and that's terrific. But for any other businesses, you really do have to stretch beyond your core competency and go into new technology because that's what will differentiate. It's a little nerve-wracking at first, but truly you will limit your competitors as you start moving into more advanced technology. Joe mentioned, fingerprint is embedded into the Atlas systems, but beyond Atlas, of course, we also have touchless face recognition, palm recognition, and now we've introduced even QR code recognition, in which case the certificates are absolutely free. So again, really integrators need to stretch beyond what they've been doing the last 10, 20, 30 years and get into new technologies that could differentiate them.
Yeah, it's interesting there too, because if you think about it, it's not an industry that has historically been one to with speed, right? It's been known and advertises itself as steady and not fast to change. But it's interesting of what's happening currently now, where we're in that area of sort of rapid disruption. My personal opinion, we're in the midst of digital disruption right now, and things are moving at sort of neck break speeds where or breakneck, I don't know about whatever the saying is on that, but the software side and the expectations of how things will change, where it's been a feature of our industry that we do move slow. It is a life safety product, so we were allowed to do that. That we really utilize products of the past to help for use cases of today and frankly the future. But I think that fabric is breaking as we sit here. So figuring out as an integrator and in the trades and even for the manufacturers of how do I balance the new with the old, and how do I evolve? Because I actually like to utilize that term. It's not maybe disruption. I'd like us to think of it as an evolution of our business. We are molting and generating new based off of a base that we've had since 1973, and before that of like now this is the new. So it's going to be interesting to see how we transform as an industry to be able to appreciate and adopt the new while balancing it with the old.
Yeah, I mean, I always have flashbacks to the '90s when the internet first became available. Everyone got excited, especially all the banks to go online. But the internet was a tremendous disruptor when people realized that how easily they could be hacked. So you had people scrambling, introducing new technology like firewalls and VPNs. So to your point, disruptions are always good. Even I've heard Bill Gates actually even mention that the hardship caused by this pandemic with COVID-19, it could have been far worse if the mortality rate was much greater. So in essence, this is a problem that did create considerable pain, but because it could have been far worse. And today, we're better prepared for the future. So with all these setbacks, it's hard to feel it's an opportunity, of course, when your business is failing and you're losing your job. And my heart goes out to all those people. But this is the new norm. And people need to be more mindful of maintaining health and safety standards within their companies. And certainly looking at security, not just access control, but now we have visitor management. So as you pointed out, absolutely an evolution that's necessary and will all hopefully make us safer, more secure as a result.
I think a good example, you bring up visitor management. I mean, that's something that just in months, frankly, went from this sort of nice to have thing that added minimal value in a lot of cases because it was more of like a cool fact at the front desk or in high compliance areas that it was needed. But really, if we were to be honest, like overall, it was not necessarily a centerpiece of our industry. Now it's really the front end in a lot of ways to these businesses, and it's taken those black readers on the wall, and it's the digital interface of a lot of these systems.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing that the turnstile industry is also booming. And prior to the pandemic, they were usually looked upon as, as you said, as a nice to have, as a piece of furniture restricting access to the lobby of an expensive high-rise building. But now even turnstiles are enabling businesses to reopen because those now become checkpoints for security and and health inspection. So they're just these times now are actually making everyone refocus on what is security and the importance of enabling businesses to reopen. And certainly visitor management is very much a part of that, especially, prior to COVID, it was making headlines about all the issues in schools where you had visitors sneaking in, being allowed in, there was no tracking of them, and sadly, all those public shootings. So visitor management has now changed from a nice to have to a need to have, as you pointed out.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting to see sort of as we continue to go along. And so if people are interested to find out more information about ZKTeco and, like you said, you have a lot of different products and solutions and you're growing. So where's the best place to find out?
Well, first of all, you should contact one of our star sales engineers like Mr. Joe Freed. And Joe is just racking up 5-star reviews on Google. It's crazy. So Joe is just doing a fantastic. Joe is actually up in the face of the company where integrators first contact ZK to learn a little bit more about the product. So definitely contact Joe.F as in free at ZKTecoUSA.com. Visit our website. And up and coming, we're really excited. Everyone's dying to get out because of COVID-19, everyone being locked down. On May 11th, in our Alpharetta, Georgia office, we're having our first Atlas dealer conference. That not only are dealers not going to be coming to be here to get certified, but we're going to be feeding them, all day, starting from breakfast to lunch and dinner. And we're also going to be having prizes, cash prizes. I'm going to be walking around with a bunch of Benjamins in my hand. And if everyone's paying attention and I surprise them with a question, I'm more than happy to free it up. So May 11th, sorry for the plug, Lee, but please,
Very good.
if you're either doing access control or even thinking about entering access control, please, May 11th, you want to come to our Alpharetta office, meet our staff, meet Joe and his colleagues, and certainly visit the user experience center. So,
or if you're just hungry, right? Or if you're just
or
hungry.
if you're just hungry or thirsty, or please, Lee, please, you're also welcome as well.
Yeah,
you're a terrific host. You'll probably draw more people here than I ever could.
You're going to make me blush. Now, all right. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you taking the time to tell us a little bit about ZKTeco, the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace. It's a beginning of a long conversation. This is just this beginning. So thank you very much for doing that, and I look forward to doing this again.
And Lee, thank you for your thought leadership. Ever since I saw you on LinkedIn, I'm just so happy for people like you being there, involving everyone, really making sure everyone's informed. And we're just thrilled just to have this relationship with you. So thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and it's I'm thankful that I can do what I'm doing. So thank you. Thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you, Lee.
Bye.